We welcome every paranormal investigator and enthusiast alike, including hobbyists, scientists and psychic mediums from around the globe, to join in as we cover this vast, fascinating subject, encouraging you to share information, advice and most importantly, friendship. Remember, collaboration, not competition. Yeah, good evening ladies and gentlemen and welcome to the show. It's the KTPF Community Paranormal Talk Show here on
Talk Radio.
Yeah, welcome to the show. You alright, Steve? Are you with us, my dear?
I am. I'm just wondering why it's my fault.
Why is it your fault?
Yeah.
Because you rushed me to do that and I forgot to hit the hold a bits button. Again.
It's not my fault if me and Neil are ready and you ain't.
I know. This is it. That's what you get when you have to press all the buttons. Good evening, everybody out there in online radio land.
Mr. Esmo the Incredible.
On the KTPF website, we have Mr. Esmundo, the Incredible. I wonder who that could be. Okay, and somewhere we should have.
I'm gonna go and hit Ghost Rider in a minute. He's not even signed.
Oh no, he hasn't. That's all right. We've got four viewers at the moment. So as I say, so it should be a good night tonight. Hopefully, we have a couple of good guests coming on tonight, don't we?
Oh yes.
Well, as you may or may not have.
Interesting, anyway.
Yeah, as you may or may not remember, we went off to North Devon to the Weird Weekend.
We did.
And got soaked. Well, no.
Yes, we got that as well.
We didn't get soaked, did we? If you've read, if you have read the story that we put in or the information that we put in regarding our weekend, then you will see what went on. And basically, what happened was. The Weird Weekend ended up being a washout for us, even though we were camping. But it was a good weekend, wasn't it? It was well weird. It
was a good weekend, and we got some interviews there, so we got some good footage on video for people to see.
Yes, we did.
About big cats and the Hexam heads and cryptos in lake monsters and that in Norway.
Plus, we had a view about sea creature carcasses, which ended up being basking sharks.
Yep, doesn't matter what it was.
We also had a sighting of the Tailor bird, didn't we?
Oh yes, the amazing Tailor bird.
Yes, the Tailor bird.
The Tailor bird hung his underwear on our tent. Yes,
and his tent became a swimming pool.
It did.
That's how wet it was. But yes, it was really. Oh, hello.
Which is why his underwear was wet, because he used his dirty underwear to soak up all the water and wring them out.
Yeah, so it was really, really wet, I must admit.
But it's better than using his clean ones, isn't it?
Anyway, for those of you who don't know, to quote Mr. John Downs, anyone who lives in the Walsall, Clovelly or Bucks area from the past...
Hey, we got some few people on again.
We have. Would know that for one weekend, the tiny North Devon village of Walsall becomes the weirdest village in the land. The largest gathering of scholars of esoteric national history in the English-speaking world are set to take place in the Royal North Devon, which happens every year, normally was it the third week in August?
Something like that.
So, if you can imagine, all sorts of monsters, UFOs and ghosts take over the small village.
Well, not literally.
No, not literally.
They have some really good, interesting talks and that on.
Well, this is it.
And the village actually opens up to them, and they let them do some funny filming and stuff. But I've got two things to say. First, welcome to Sue73 and Denise. Hi guys.
Hi guys.
And the other one's more of a complaint.
Oh, go on then.
For weeks, I've been trying to say Wolfardusworthy or whatever it's bloody called, and when you get there, in brackets it says you say Wolsall.
Yeah, typical. But as I say, there are many speakers that come from all over the world. We even had a Danish zoologist and cryptozoologist, Mr. Lars Thomas.
Yes.
Okay, he was an author of more than 50 books on the subject of diverse as Danish ghosts, Jack the Ripper, whiskey, and the aquatic monsters of North Europe.
But he only has one in English at the moment.
Yes, he does. So, but there were quite a few there, wasn't there? Yeah. Plus our guest that we're bringing on about 8:30, Mr. John McGowan, who's an active member of the Big Cats in Britain research group. He was talking to us while we were there, and we're going to be talking about the cats and stuff. If you've been listening to the video on demand, you'll also see the video, the interview we did with him over the weekend. And and we've got, as you say, we've got talking about the Hexham Heads later on in the year, because we'll get the author of the quest for the Hexham Heads.
Yes,
that's quite an interesting thing. Yes,
that's Paul, and it's Paul Surton, and we also did a little bit there with Graham Wilkins, who's done the film. Wilkinson. That's going to be touring the country.
Yes, at film festivals. Yes, you can see a trailer also on YouTube. And later on in the show, we have an old friend of ours called Mr. Graham Palk. I think that's how you pronounce it.
That's how you pronounce it.
And he's going to be talking about his Aether Guard neighbourhood watch, yes, which isn't as silly as it sounds. Okay, and he's also going to be talking about protection and other stuff regarding the paranormal and spirits.
Some of it can sound silly because they're talking about different creatures and stuff, but it's basically about protecting people from idiots doing stupid spells and stuff, and putting the damage right that they've done. That's the basic idea, but some of it can, if you're not into it, can get a bit heavy when they start talking about lizard people and things.
Yes. Well, as I say, and talking about spiritual and stuff like that, we have our very own co-host for this evening. Once again, it's Mr. Neil Munnerley.
Evening, all.
Evening, Mr. Neil.
How are you?
I'm not too bad. How's yourself?
Not too bad at all. What you been up to? Taking the kids out?
Not a great deal. It's school holidays, so it's kids.
Have you got your mic on?
Yes, I have.
Oh, right. It doesn't sound like it. But we'll try again. How's that?
Can everybody hear Neil?
Better?
I don't know.
Am I coming through?
Speak. Are you hearing Neil Munnerley? Because I'm not.
Is anybody hearing me?
Are you hearing him? Are you hearing him?
Neil is low, says John.
Is he low? Very low. So what mic are you actually on, Neil?
I'm on this one.
I'm on the leash.
You're right. Yeah, they're all on leashes apart from me.
Neil should be on 3, I think.
3?
Yep.
Right. Well. And okay. Let's try that.
How's that?
Speak.
Better?
Oh, that's better. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes. We can hear him now.
Talk again.
Is that better?
Yes. That's it. Okay. We can hear you now.
Apparently, Denise, Gary's going to try and talk you into coming with us next year.
Yes.
Down to Devon.
Yeah. So you've been taking the kids out.
Mainly kids. Stuff.
Yeah. Kids stuff.
Yeah.
Being daddy.
And they're back to school in another week and a half.
And he's got another dog.
You've got another dog?
Oh, I've got another dog, yes.
Oh, God.
Yes.
What happened there?
It's his son's dog.
It's quite a strange... It's all about strange animals today, actually. It's quite a strange dog.
Yeah.
It's a cross between a Rottweiler and a Patterdale Terrier.
Oh, right,
so
okay.
How that happened, I've no idea.
A small, beefy dog that likes to run around. It's what he's now got.
With big sad eyes.
Denise says she might do. She has got a tent.
Good on you, girl.
So I take it she liked my interpretation of the Taylor bird, didn't you, Denise, on Facebook? If anyone wants to see that, just go to Gary Taylor's profile. So anyway, on to tonight. As I said, tonight we've got Graham Palk coming in later. I will be ringing Mr. John McGowan about 8:30. Apparently he's listening. He's maybe watching a programme on cats at the moment. So
and he up in the forest somewhere?
He's up in the Forest of Dean. I think he's just visiting tonight. I don't think he's actually doing anything. I'm not quite sure. But what we'll do is, while we're filling in, we'll do the paranormal news in a moment. But don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, even though we'll be talking to, John on the mobile, we'll have to ring him on the mobile tonight. You can ask questions in the chat room. You can also ring on the landline if you wish. We will be running the number across the bottom of the screen, but it's 0844 414 3982. when I remember myself. And
of course we have the Skype.
And obviously we have the Skype as well, so you can call us on Skype, which is ktpf.paranormalshow. And hopefully most of our guests will be ringing up via the Skype, because it's a lot easier for us, and I keep thinking that's where the last name is. But as I say, so
shall I ask Mr. Neil about this?
Yes, start with that, and then I'll go into the other bit.
Excuse me, bless me, and all the rest of it, please.
Bless you, bless you.
Please bless me.
Okay.
There weren't no demons coming in there. Right, I have a story here about a young lady who, back in '79, she moved in with her dying father.
Okay.
It doesn't actually say initially how long he had, but one morning he was quite upset, and she asked him what the problem was, and he pointed up to the ceiling and said, they've come to get me. And she asked him who, and she said, silly thing, I shouldn't have asked him, because he just got more upset and pointed to the ceiling again. But she said that he waved his hand and said, "Go away, I'm not ready yet." So he ain't going. So he thinks they're coming to take him off to the place in the sky. She said that it was another 3 months before her father died, but he actually came back to her did some automatic writing, she says, just to say he was okay and stuff. Yeah. But how often is it that we get these visitations from family?
It's more often than what you think, to be honest. And a lot of it goes on what you're actually going to pass with, because there's obviously some people out there that would take longer to pass, whether it's a disease like cancer or something like that, which takes a long time, rather than a sudden death. But I've talked or I've spoken to many people over the years who've said, we were at the bedside and dad or mum were talking about family that had come down and spoke to them prior to them dying and so forth. But it's quite common, because what spirit do is they prepare us. They have to do preparations, so they have to be around us before we pass away, and some people are visited weeks before, some people are visited the day before, so it depends on what the preparations are and how heavy the preparations have got to be to allow us to pass on to where we're supposed to be going.
Yeah, I remember when my great grandmother died. She said she could hear the children calling her. Remember the colliery that went up, collapsed on top of the school in Wales.
Yeah,
I can't remember what it was called now, but it was a big thing at the time. She said she could hear the children calling her.
Right.
But the other good thing about this one, she said he died at 7 a.m. And that night she was alone in his home. And she lit a candle and put it on the end of the table and lay down on the couch and cried herself to sleep. Mm-hmm. And she felt close to him there. Next morning, when she awoke, the candle sat 3 feet away on the carpeted floor. By the look of the burn hole on the carpet, right below the end of the table, the candle had fallen off and started a fire. To this day, I don't know how it was put out or how the candle moved to the doorway between the living room and kitchen. So she's assuming that Dad was looking out for her.
It could well be. It could well be. Yeah.
So,
I've seen far more worse experiences than candles being blown out. Trust me.
Yeah, I know when my nan, when her husband died, she was a complete mess, and she says he come and sat on the end of the bed and had a right go and said, "Look, get a grip. You've got our son to look after." Yeah. And just trying to get her to come back round to earth, kind of thing. Yeah. But she always swore that, didn't she? Yeah. That happened. That's quite spooky when you think about it. When you're in grief anyway.
Yeah. When my grandmother passed on, my grandmother on my mum's side, and that was the one that sort of took me under her wing. She passed when I was 11. But my grandfather, he mourned a further 30 years. Not one day went past where he didn't mourn for her. Yeah. And he used to tell me, we talk constantly, all the time, from day to day.
Yeah.
I mean, he was 105 when he passed, but he'd spent 30 years mourning, you know, and there was so many times where he wanted to take his own life and be with her, and she kept talking him out of it. And
saying that in our Susie, when she actually looked back and she said, "Blimey, she'd been mourning her nan, who, for all intents and purposes, was her mother. She brought her up, and it was like 30 years." And she went, "Jesus, it's time to let go and stop."
But I don't think really I have though.
Yeah,
maybe a little bit.
Yeah, not as much as not as bad as it used to be.
No.
It's just the odd occasion on like the birthday and the anniversary kind of thing. But the other thing I'd like to, and I don't really get it because there can't be that many out there. I know the Native Americans are very nature orientated and stuff like that. But why is everybody's guide a bloody Red Indian? I mean, it can't be so that everybody's got a Red Indian guide, please.
It's a strange old thing, to be honest. I mean, for all honest purposes.
I mean, could it be that everybody just wants a Red Indian guide?
Everybody wants it, but for all honest purposes, not everybody's guide is. It just makes things a little bit easier because people put two and two together, you know, and it just makes it easier for spirit to get through to them. But a lot of the time as well, I've found that people just make guides up sometimes, and they're not really there. They just.
To be honest, I just want mine to talk to me. I don't care what I don't care what nationality he is or what he does or anything else. It's just nice to know he's there and I'm working with you. You know what I mean? I mean, I know he does, but I don't see why everybody's not like that. It doesn't matter who or what the guide is. Yeah. As long as you're working well together.
Oh yeah.
And doing what you need to be doing.
Yeah.
Doesn't really need to be a Red Indian or a Chinaman.
It doesn't. It's just a lot of the time it's just putting two and two together.
Oh, I say Chinaman, and it's not normally Chinese. It's a Tibetan monk.
Going back to
lovely
what you were
people,
saying,
by the way, but it always seems to be those two, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Going back to what you were saying about, you know, when people died. Yeah, Denise said that a week after her granddad died, she was in bed full of cold, and she felt as if something had been wrapped around her shoulders. Yeah, and she felt as though maybe it was her granddad. You know, if she said she'd like to think that it was her granddad looking after her.
Right.
So, and like Eric said, if you're that close, I don't believe you should let go, but always remind that they always remind you they are always there anyway. So.
Well, I lost my grandfather when I was 13. And I've been grieving over that for the last 33 years. I mean, I speak to him regular. You know, we've always kept contact. But when he passed, that was a big part of me that went. You know,
yeah.
And I'll never get over that day, to be honest, because he was more of a dad, to be honest, to me than a granddad. You know, and it's like Eric said. I don't think you should let go. You know, there's no reason to let go. You know, and move on from. You know, for the love that we feel for these people.
Now, I'm sorry, but I've got to pull you up there.
Oh,
why?
Getting pulled up?
Yes. Because you were saying to Lynn that she had to cut the strings and let him go to make it
we're talking
onto his next bit.
We're talking about a different factor here. Okay, where Lynn is concerned.
She was mourning her husband.
Yeah, but that's a husband. It's a completely different. It's a different love. It's a different aspect of what we're grieving after. Okay, right. Where Lynn's concerned, if she wants to hold that, you know, how can I put it? See, the grieving that Lynn's doing, it's fairly new because he hasn't been gone that long, you know, if you like. But it is affecting her, and it's affecting her in a way where. She needs to cut certain strings. I'm not saying cut the whole thing off. No. But there are certain things that she needs to cut away and move on with her life, you know. And it's not me saying that, it's him saying that, you know, and he said that, and he's even said it to Lynn himself. And she knows that, you know, it's being told to do something and doing it is completely different, we know, but I'm not saying cut off completely. What I'm saying is that there are certain things she needs to cut away.
Yeah, I mean, I know she has done that, and what was it? Would you say it was near 3 years now?
Yeah,
I think so. Yeah,
it's getting along.
I think she's done great. To be honest,
Yeah.
with it being that close.
She has,
you know?
but she also has the added knowledge of knowing that he's around her at times, which obviously, as a medium, you do with your grandfather, because you said yourself you actually speak to him. So it's kind of, that's got to be a double-edged sword, really.
Yeah.
You've lost the personal touchy-feely side, but they're still there to guide and talk to you and stuff. So that's got to be a double-edged sword. It's got to hurt.
Right,
in both directions.
We'll come back to this in a bit later,
honest,
I think.
That would help more. It would help me more, to be honest.
I don't know. I don't really know, because the fact that you can still talk to him, but you couldn't hold him. Especially like Liam, with it being a husband. Like you said, it's a different kind of love.
Of course it is. Of course it is.
That's got to be hard. Yes, you were saying, Susie.
Yes, I'm thinking we'll come back to this a bit later. There's been a few questions and comments on the chat room. Concerning guides, Eric said that he hasn't got an Indian or anything like that. He's got an Italian gypsy woman. And it took him
all about Eric. As Mondo the Great there.
And it took him a long time to get connected with her. Apparently, it took years to connect with her. Denise wanted to know how he connected, and he's basically saying that he's got such a strong feeling of energy through his body. And I asked her to confirm, which is what you need to do, isn't it?
Yeah.
So John downstairs said when he was 14, he was on a bus in London, and I was sitting at the front of the bus when my elderly friend sat next to me and told me not to visit him on his, or his wife. This was about 9:50 p.m. And when I got home, my foster mother told me he had passed away at the same time I spoke to him on the bus.
Okay.
So
that's quite a common occurrence.
It can happen, can't it?
It's quite a common occurrence, to be honest.
You know, so, but...
Is there any way you could help Sue find out who her guide is?
She says she's tried meditation, and all I receive is mental pics of tree roots and a rolled up leaf.
Okay.
So we could touch on this after we've spoken to John.
Definitely, that just suggests to me that she's not grounded properly yet.
Right, okay. Yeah, because obviously the tree's telling her.
The rolled up leaf as well, it's contained, you know. So.
We can touch back on this in a moment when we come back, can't we, when we've spoken to John, in between John and Graham. Well, let's go into this paranormal news. Get this out of the way.
Say something quickly?
Go on then.
What Eric's just said there, your guide won't connect until they know you're ready. That's true. Yeah, they won't.
And Denise says she thinks she's ready.
Yeah, but you thinking you're ready and they thinking you're ready is completely different kettle of fish. And it's how you can actually take on that it's not a burden, but that amount of sort of energy and other stuff.
Yeah.
Sue said, Linda from her group is teaching her to ground herself.
Okay.
Right. Okay, let's go into the paranormal news, and we'll come back to that in a bit. Right. If you were in the Lancashire village of Barley recently, you would have noticed that the place was filled with witches, with pointed hats and black cloaks and a broom.
Sounds good to me.
There were 482 people, including as many men. They weren't all women, as many men were doing it as well, okay, as they attempted to be the biggest group, largest amount of people dressed as witches in one place, which has now been set. So that is a world record. Yeah. So it's well done to them.
Didn't they have something written on the hillside as well?
I haven't finished yet.
Oh, so
right. This was to commemorate the 400th anniversary of the Pendle Witch trials in Lancaster. Okay, and what they did after that was they trekked across Gallows Hill, where 10 people were hanged in 1612 after being found guilty of causing death and harm by witchcraft. The participants also completed a 5-mile circular sponsored Pendle Witch Walk, beginning in the village of Barley, known as the epicentre of Witch County. The walk was held not only to mark the anniversary of the witch trials, but also to raise a target of £50,000 for the Pendleside Hospice in Burnley. Organiser John Jordan said the witch trials was a sombre part of the area's history, but the walkers wanted to show off the best of Pendle, including our glorious countryside and managed our magnificent hill and our tumultuous history. God, that was a big word. At the end of the walk, the record breakers were then treated to a live music festival. Councillor Paul White, who represents tourism in Pendle, said the Big Witch event is part of our Pendle Witch Festival, which marks the 400th anniversary of the trial of the Pendle Witches. We are happy to support the organisers of the Pendle Witch Walk and to complement their event with an outdoor concert and at the end of what was a magical day. And they have also marked the occasion of the infamous trials by painting a 1612 in 500-foot high numbers on Pendle Hill, so it can be now seen for miles. But this is what gets me. Things happen like that, yeah, which are horrid and this, that and the other, and then X amount of years afterwards, we're celebrating it. It makes me laugh. I must admit, you know.
That's how time moves on.
It is, you know what I mean? You know.
It does move on, but obviously...
Unfortunately,
if you think about it, people like me are still bound by the Witchcraft Act.
Oh, this is it.
You know, so it's still, there is still something there that, you know.
This is it.
But having said that, most of them weren't witches; they were just natural healers.
They it's the same as
they knew what roots and that were good, which comes from our heritage that most of us have forgotten.
Yeah, because we're all pagans, aren't we?
Does it actually?
Scared of it, though.
Yeah.
Does it actually say how much they raised on the day?
No, it doesn't say how much they raised, unfortunately. But well done to them anyway.
Yeah, good cause.
Good cause. The other thing is, sale of tarot readings and spells banned on eBay. Did you know that there are 791 tarot reading adverts currently on eBay on the UK website? And eBay have announced that the sale of fortune telling and witchcraft related services will be prohibited after the 30th of April this year. Tarot readings, spells, curses and blessings are among the intangible categories being removed by the site. The decision has been made because conflicts between buyers and sellers of these services are difficult to resolve, said eBay. All listings of this kind will be removed in September, it added. A petition against the decision on website gopetition.com have gathered 1,440 signatures, reports Wired. I bought a spell on eBay to help a relative who was having difficulties at work, and we were amazed by the result, said one woman from Dorset. If you do believe in that sort of thing and you believe it works, then you should be allowed to buy it. The vice president of the Merseyside Skeptics Society, Michael Marshall, is less convinced. I think it's solid consumer protection, he told the BBC News. It is a very wise decision. Some people will cry it's a form of censorship, but in the fact of the matter is things like tarot, spells and curses are all highly unproven. There are plenty of tarot readers out there who genuinely believe they have a psychic gift, but that doesn't mean it doesn't make it any more real. In a statement on its website, eBay said that people continuing to list services in this category after the 30th of August deadline may have their accounts suspended. Neil, what's your opinion on this?
Well, it's a ball of contention with me, and I don't think that people should be doing things like that online anyway.
No, you've always said that.
Yeah, I mean, if you go for a reading, it's supposed to be it's supposed to be a personal thing. I wouldn't even dream about doing any kind of reading online, to be honest, because
keep in mind, a lot of the people advertising are advertising for people to come to their homes, not necessarily online.
Oh yeah, but
when it comes to spells and curses,
I think a lot of the things that you're getting on eBay are when the spell doesn't work and they want their money back, or you're going to get things like that anyway.
Yeah.
But you're going to get a lot of people there who haven't got the gift and they're just selling it as a service, as a money making scam. And there's a lot of that going on as well.
I mean, even the readings, it only means something if you can connect. If you're being told something that you don't know about, as far as you're concerned, it's a rubbish reading.
Yeah.
So and like I do actually agree with the eBay stance. There's no way that they can moderate that and say, well, you give them a rubbish reading because they don't know what the reading was.
No.
and it's something that can't be
there's no
legislated from eBay's point of view.
There's no way to regulate it. There's no regulation at all, and this is why so many people are getting away with it nowadays, as a money-making scam. You know, it's a bit like, I mean, I always put it in the same level, and I'll be careful what I say here, but I put it in the same level as these sex chat lines. You know, where people are ringing up these people for dirty chat on the telephone, and you know, on the other side of the phone is a 70-year-old woman doing a knitting while she's talking dirty down the phone.
Yeah.
You know, it's the same sort of thing. You don't know what's on the other side of that phone or the other side of that internet, and what they're really doing. They could be picking anything out. You know,
this is it.
I'm telling you, any codswallop.
Yeah.
You know, and there's a lot of people out there who actually take it literally, and they will lead their lives by it. You know, so it's doing a lot more damage than what it's good.
So, do you think readers in particular should be licensed?
I think it should be regulated in some way, yeah. And I think we should be tested yearly, in some degree or some manner. You know, but it's definitely regulation that needs to be put in place.
Yes.
I don't think it's a testing that most people would look at, because you put people under pressure and things don't always work. I mean, the James Randi thing's the biggest.
Not that kind of test. Not that kind of test.
You should actually just get a reading.
Yeah, no, I don't mean that kind of test, but you know, things like you know, when people are doing shows or whatever, or people are doing readings, there's no problem in a recording being done or a viewing from an outside body who would test the subject. You know, there's got to be some kind of certification or some kind of regulation somewhere to stop.
Or even, you know, have 3 people get a reading over the course of 12 months as a test kind of thing, but obviously not saying nothing, and just see what happens. That'd be that's not a bad idea, I suppose. I mean, we have to do something to get rid of the charlatans out.
You know, and there's so many people now coming out and calling themselves international medium or the best medium in the UK, or you know, I mean, I've seen people on the internet asking people for vote for me. I don't, you know, and you don't even know the woman, never had a reading from her.
Yeah.
And I've got 572 votes. I'm now the best medium in Wales. Yeah. You know, and it's an outrage.
Isn't that for this award thing they do?
Yes.
Doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
It doesn't make no sense at all. No sense at all.
I mean, I'm like you. I'm always getting asked for come and vote for me. I was like,
I just comment in the comment, but I don't even know you. Never had a reading from you, so I'm going to vote for you.
Like, I know your name, but I don't know how good or bad you are.
Exactly.
Right. Well, in a moment, I'm going to be ringing up our guest to be on tonight's KTPF community show.
Talk radio.
And I'm going to ask my husband if he can shift them events so that they're in the right place. The events for later on.
Okay.
So I'm going to...
Did I not move it? I do apologise.
Yes, you did.
And Sue73, like Neil said, your roots of the tree, and that's a warning for grounding. You need to be a bit more grounded than you actually are, because energy needs to flow, and if you've got a blockage there, that completely stops it up. I shall now go and do what my other half wants me to do.
Yes, and at the moment I'm trying to contact our guest for this evening, so please bear with me. Let's see if we can get a hold of him. Right, okay, let's make sure everyone can hear you in the chat room. I did say third time lucky. Okay, do you want to just test your mic for me, please, John? See if everyone can hear you. Speak to me. Hi. Right, okay, so hopefully everyone can hear him in the chat room. And if they have any problems, they'll let us know. So how are you, John, since the weekend?
I'm good. I've had a long drive up to Gloucester.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm going to be looking at lots of cat stuff over the next few days.
Are you?
Yes.
Oh, brilliant.
I'm going on a vigil.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got a vigil with several people meeting up, and we're going to be using heat-seeking devices and infrared devices to look around the neighbouring areas for cats, such as leopards.
Oh, that's fantastic.
There's been lots of sightings up there of leopards.
Yeah. That's fantastic. Did you hear any more about the leopard that we heard last weekend?
I've heard no more about that.
No.
But at least 2 people heard something that night, yourself and other people, which was amazing, because I'd only just been saying in my talk that I'd only actually heard a leopard in the wild in Britain once. And that very night, well, the next morning early at 5 o'clock, I heard one twice, and I was really amazed by that.
Yeah. Wow, that's fantastic. And as I say, you've been doing this for quite a few years, haven't you?
Well, I've been doing it for nearly 30 years now, yeah.
Wow.
Certainly seriously in the last 11 years.
Yeah. So, you were saying in your talk, obviously, you obviously may sound silly to others, but you look at scat, don't you, and see what they've been eating and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the feces of animals is a sure way of proving they exist and extracting lots of data, which is ideal for biologists. You've got the fur from the animals themselves, you've got their prey species, you've got their DNA, their colour, everything. So you can find out so much about an individual animal just by looking at their droppings.
Right. Yeah. So, and what cat would you really like to find? Is there anything specific?
What you mean? What, now or at any time?
At any time, you know. If say for instance, like Richard Freeman, he's interested in the Tasmanian wolf, certain kind of animals. Is there a certain cat that you'd like to see, like to catch hold of, or?
Oh, certainly a lynx. I love those.
Yeah,
because
they are
a British native, you see.
Right. So
and they are beautiful animals.
I never realised they were British.
Yeah. Well, it was said that lynx disappeared about 900 years ago, but there is some sort of like evidence to suggest that they actually lived up in the UK until the sort of like 15th or 16th century, and some people believe they actually lived in the UK longer in the Scottish Highlands, which is very feasible.
Wow, that's great. And you're obviously, as I say, you're going to be doing the Forest of Dean, and what are you hoping to be looking for?
We're looking for leopard because there's so many reports of leopards around the Forest of Dean and in Gloucester as a whole. And we go to an area near Cinderford where there has been lots of reports and lots of other places as well. So we're meeting up with Frank Tunbridge, with Rick Minton now, and we're meeting up with others, and we're going to blitz the area.
Great, brilliant. I wish I could join you. It sounds fantastic because it's really piqued my interest since the weekend. You know, hopefully if you get some pictures you could probably send them to us.
Well, that'll be very, very lucky if I got any photographs.
Oh God. But you know, so what actually happens when you go on these exhibitions? What do you actually do? What's the criteria?
Well, we drive slowly through the country lanes at dusk when cats are more likely to come out, because they're eager to just come out and start hunting or walking around their territories and doing what they do. So when the sun's gone down, and about now is the time when cats start to roam about, and it's probably the best time for seeing these animals. And we've been out before. We've seen a puma just by doing that, and of course in my home area of Dorset I've seen cats several times by going out at dusk. So that's what we're going to be doing. And then at night time we're probably going to be on a hill that's got a panoramic view with our sort of scopes and things, seeing what we can pick up.
Wow, it sounds fantastic. It really does. And obviously the chances of seeing anything are probably really better chances than seeing a UFO.
Well, actually, there's more UFOs to be seen than big cats.
You really think so?
Yeah, UFOs aren't so elusive. Big cats are, because they can see you, and they just hide and evade you unless you can see them from a distance.
So, anyway, John, tell us a bit about yourself. Introduce yourself to everyone.
Okay, well, obviously my name is Jonathan McGowan. I'm a naturalist, and I've been into wildlife and conservation since I was the year dot, basically. So I've had a fascination with all things flying and crawling and swimming and growing. You have it, since a very young age, and I've been very passionate about it and involved in conservation bodies and wildlife groups since I was 9 or 10 years old. I started watching badgers at the age of 11, and it was doing that I actually saw my first big cats at night in the middle of nowhere on the Dorset Downs. I saw pumas stalking badgers, and I saw them for several years, and that actually put me onto it in a big way, because I thought, well, where are these animals coming from, you know? And being out at night, which I love, because there's no people, there's no dogs, there's no noise. I'm with nature, which I love, and I love to be on my own, out in the wilds. It's a huge spiritual thing for me to be in a natural world, you know, and doing that, I feel me, you know. And that's when you see things, when you're quiet, when you're on your own, you open your eyes and your ears, and you act like another animal, and then you start to hear things, see things, and sense things.
Mm. Right. We've got Eric in the chat room, and he's asking, why are big cats so elusive?
Well, it's within the cat's nature to be elusive, and through thousands of years, people have always revered them as gods or supernatural beings because of their ability to hide, and because they can stalk animals in an amazing way. They can also hide from animals in exactly the same kind of way, and when they see danger, they hide, and they suss things out. They can figure things out. They try and determine your next move. They can circle you without you knowing, because they know that your eyesight is not as good as theirs. They can hide low in the grass. They're fantastic stalking animals.
Yeah.
And they are hard to see. But saying that, thousands of people see big cats in Britain every year.
God, I'll be honest with you, it's the first time I've heard one, but then again, I wasn't really looking in the past, so maybe I've heard them before and not realised.
You may have done, because it doesn't actually sound... It sounds like somebody sawing on wood, on like a board. If you can imagine a big wobbly board, and somebody's got a wobbly saw, and they're going... like that. That's exactly what a leopard sounds like. Male and females, they make that noise.
Mm. Right, and we've got we've been playing your interview that we did with you at the Weird Weekend on the video on demand. So I don't know whether anyone's had the chance to watch that, but if they haven't, they can go back and look at it sometime. We've got Neil with us. You've seen, you said you've seen a cat, haven't you? Whereabouts did you see it?
Well, the question is it a cat that I've seen? I mean, I haven't got a clue what I've seen.
Right.
But it was over in Canada.
Can you hear him okay, John?
Yes, I can, yeah.
Okay.
It was over in Canada, John, in the 1980s. I was serving with the forces, and we were doing some testing over there. And I was just driving along, and the Canadian prairie is just completely vast. You know, and I think there's about one tree in 1,000 square kilometres, and it's all dead grass. But I was driving along in a Land Rover, and I just noticed in the distance, I seen something that looked like a wolf, and it was pure black, but it was the size of a small horse, and it was running fairly quickly as well. And I just noticed the way it was running as well. It was either cat or dog-like in its running, but it was a huge thing. It was massive, and I'm not quite sure what that would have been.
It's hard to tell by the description, but leopards can be very big. They can be the size of a Great Dane, but generally they're much smaller than that, but much more chunky, and they can often look bigger than what they actually are, even from a distance.
Yeah.
Pumas can be black, I do believe, although there hasn't been any proof of that, or there have been in the distant past, but they can be black, but they're rarely the size of and thickness of a leopard. So it could well be a leopard, otherwise I don't know what it could have been.
It was quite big, this thing. I mean, when I say a small horse, the size of a pony, maybe.
Oh well, ponies are much bigger than leopards. Even tigers are smaller
exactly.
than average pony.
Could it also have been a large wolf at a distance?
Well, I was thinking wolf, because we did actually come in contact with some wolves, and there's a lot of hyenas over there as well.
Yeah.
But it definitely wasn't a wolf. I mean, the size of this thing, and although it was running and it had the appearance of a wolf.
Yeah.
With its size.
How long would you say it was, and how high off the ground would you say?
It was quite chunky in body, and from what I could say, I mean, it was a bit of a distance away, But it was a pure black coat, but it looked very very fluffy coat, very fluffy type of coat, like a wolf would be.
Right.
And the way it was running, it was sprinting along the prairie at quite a rate of knots. But just in its appearance, it did look like a huge wolf.
Did you see a tail at all?
Yes, it had a tail. Yes.
Was it long and snake-like, or was it sort of thick?
It was quite thick again, and like a wolf would be.
So it could have been a wolf.
Well, it'd have to be a giant wolf.
Maybe it was a giant wolf then, yes.
Oh, it could have been. Or it could have been the black lion that we've been seeing all over Facebook recently.
Well, put it this way, the guys that are with me and myself, I don't think we slept for about 3 or 4 nights after seeing that, because we just didn't know what was out there. You know?
Yeah. So, well, we've had a couple of questions on the chat room again. We've been asked why the pictures of big cats are always blurred, like UFOs. Is it down to bad photography or something else? Somebody suggested it's because they're probably running while the pictures are being taken. But are these actually fakes that are coming out, or, you know, is there a decent one around?
Fakes. The main reason is because when people see something special, first of all, they forget to actually lift their camera. So most things people see are not photographed anyway, because they're too in awe and they want to watch the thing. I mean, I've done it myself. I've watched fantastic wild animals and I forgot I've had a camera around my neck, because you're fixed on the scene in front of you. And when you do pick up a camera, you're often shaking with, you know, surprise or whatever, and then because of course you're rushing to get the picture, you make mistakes. You mentally make mistakes because you're not sort of at ease and relaxed. And that's why most people, whenever they're taking photographs of anything weird, whether it be UFOs, cats, they're often shaky and they're not very clear. And of course, not a lot of people actually go around with proper SLR cameras with zoom lenses. And if they did have those on a tripod, I'm sure there'd be far more better pictures coming out.
Has there ever been a big cat that's ever been caught in the UK?
Yes, there has. Most people will be aware of Felicity the puma, that was caught in Scotland, although she was rather tame, I must admit. There have been large cats killed in the UK. There is photographic evidence of lynxes shot in the UK, and small jungle cats and leopard cats. They're all there on the internet for people to see. So there's proof that there are a variety of cats, but there's no proof of a leopard being shot or caught in the UK, but I'm sure they have. I'm sure it's just been covered up.
John, could you do you know on your travels have you spotted any signs of wolves in the UK?
Strangely enough, I followed a set of wolf tracks for several miles about 10 years ago over the mid-Dorset Downs, and I was convinced they were wolf tracks because of the sheer size and the dimensions of these prints are far bigger than any dog. They're about 13 centimetres in length, absolutely huge, and the way it was walking and where it was walking without any human footprints alongside it, through thick woodland and along a road. And strangely enough, 2 weeks before there had been a sighting of a wolf in that very area, and I wasn't expecting to see them, but when I saw them I thought, oh my god, they can only be wolf footprints. And then 2 weeks after that there was another sighting, apparently of a very huge lone wolf in the middle of Dorset. But after that there's nothing more said about it, so whether it was shot or whether it moved away, I do not know. But there are 1 or 2 wolves that have escaped from menagerie, and I think the Wales was the last place that I heard there was 1 or 2 roaming around there.
Right, and we are surmising that these big cats that roam the area are due down to the Dangerous Animal Act from 70s, but then again you said
partly.
Yeah, but you did say there was some before then, didn't you?
Well, yes, there's reports going back hundreds of years. Remember, there's been travelling menageries going for the last 400 years, and they always carried leopards and things which escaped. And of course, leopards and pumas are both the 2 most successful cats in the whole world. I mean, leopards lived right the way across England and Europe and Asia and Africa and everywhere in the past, and pumas on the other side of the Atlantic. So they were both the most successful animals. They can live on anything, they can hide, they can conquer almost any habitat and terrain. And so when they escaped, even hundreds of years ago, they survived. But there wasn't enough out there to create viable breeding populations. But when people started to keep them more regularly, such as the 1950s, 60s and 70s, then there were lots released, many escaped, and that's one reason why the Dangerous Wild Animals Act came into force, because of the amount of wild animals people were keeping, and because many were escaping. And then of course you go into the 80s and 90s when even more people could get hold of wild animals. Then it's no wonder that we now have breeding populations of several species of cats, along with many other species of wildlife that is non-indigenous to the UK.
Yeah. And now, when we saw you, you mentioned about your time in a region close to where we are at the moment, in the Derbyshire area. Was it the Peak District?
That's right, yeah.
Yeah. Can you tell us a bit about your excursions there? For the viewers?
I went up, say, several times a year for a couple of years, and I was wondering why there was not many large cat signs in the Peak District, although there were reports, not so much in the peaks, but in the surrounding areas where there's more farmland and there's more wildlife. The peaks tend to be quite bleak themselves, but being nocturnal, of course, probably a lot of people don't see them. But I went up there and I didn't find many signs. I did find droppings made entirely of badger hair, which I took to be leopard droppings, and I did find one or two sheep carcasses that had been eaten by a big cat, but whether it was puma or leopard, I really could not tell.
Mm. And there's mention of wallabies that were up there we were talking about, wasn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think they're still there. I think wallabies are still there, but I think their numbers have decreased immensely.
Yeah.
And if there are wallabies there, then I should imagine they're ideal food for the leopards, who you obviously eat hares and rabbits as well, and other things.
Yeah.
Because they're just going to eat anything from grasshoppers and beetles to a cow.
And deers are quite their favourite, you were telling us.
Deer are their favourite. In areas where there are deer, there are cats, and I would say wherever there are large herds of deer in the UK, there are always cats. Even in Epping Forest, there's been several sightings of big leopards sitting in the middle of a road, and following herds of fallow deer. That's in Epping Forest. And where I live, we have huge herds of deer, and there's an epicentre, a breeding epicentre down in Dorset, because of the sheer number of deer, their favourite prey.
Right. It's such a fascinating topic. I've always liked the black cats, and we had a few sightings up here in the Halton area. I think that's part of Merseyside, I'm not sure. And a friend of mine, Mark Rosney, he used to go looking for them up here, and he promised me he'd take me with him one day, but he said it's been quite quiet in that area at the moment. There hasn't been any sightings. So, unfortunately. But, I don't know whether you've heard of any sightings in that area yourself in the past.
What area is that?
It's in the Halton area of... whereabouts is that?
No.
It's Cheshire.
Cheshire, sorry.
Cheshire.
Yeah.
There have been one or two reports
I think it's
in Cheshire,
Runcorn?
yes. I think last year there was a couple.
Yeah, I think it's near Runcorn, John.
I haven't heard any this year, I don't think.
No, he said it had been quiet. We have Lyme Park near Stockport, which is full of deer. They have their own deer and that, and I don't know whether they would make a be there at all.
Well, if they're red deer, then they're less likely to be food, unless, of course, they're eating the young animals. So there's only a short time in the year when the cats could be predating on them, but of course they prefer the smaller roe deer and seeker deer, and of course wherever there's muntjac, they're ideal food for leopards and pumas and even lynx.
Right. John's just put a comment on here, and he would like your views. He said I am a believer in the saying, no life without wildlife. Do you believe it? Do you agree with that?
No life without wildlife.
Yes.
Well, I certainly have to agree.
Yes, it sounds right to me. Now, I found a website. Is this your main website, thenaturalstuff.co.uk?
That's right, and it's dedicated to natural history, and there is a section on UFOs, a big section on big cats, and sections on all different aspects of wildlife and conservation.
Yeah, so if anyone wants to go and have a look there about what you've done and who you are and other sort of topics on there which you've just mentioned, just go to www.thenaturalstuff.co.uk, but we'll also put it into the chat room so anyone can go and have a look as well, so I'll just copy and paste that. And it's been great talking to you again, and hopefully we'll talk to you again soon. I'd also like to wish you every success with if I can say that, with your next exhibition in the Forest of Dean, did you say?
It's been a pleasure talking to you. Thank you ever so much.
So, as I say, good luck, and let us know what happens, and, you know, if you get anything. All right.
Okay.
And hopefully we'll see you at the next Weird Weekend.
I'm sure you will. Thank you ever so much.
Take care, John. It's been a pleasure.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye, John.
Oh, that wasn't too bad, was it?
No,
I enjoyed that.
That was interesting.
I really enjoyed that. That was good. Can you see whether Skype's got Graham on so we can call him in a moment?
I shall have a look.
Yeah, so what did you think to that? Black cats. Oh, it's lovely, isn't it?
No, Sue, can you stop saying black cats?
Oh, sorry, big cats. Black cats, big cats.
Start saying big cats.
So again, if you are interested in that stuff, big cats, biography, CFZ exhibitions or expeditions, collections,
expeditions,
consultations, education, presentations, taxidermy and zoology. He said he's even got a section there on UFOs. You can go to thenaturalstuff.co.uk, or if you just Google John McGowan, then it will come up. So that's no problem. Or Jonathan McGowan, that's McGowan, and he's a very nice man. So what did you think to that? Did you enjoy that? I think Eric did. Yes, he said he enjoyed that. So our next we'll get contacting our next.
Yeah, Mr. Graham does seem to be on.
Does he? We'll be contacting him in a few minutes. I may go to WW next year. It's quite good actually, Eric. We did a bit camping, but Gary says he's going to do bed and breakfast next year. The wimp. But anyway, going back to our paranormal news. Okay, just a couple of bits here, which is a bit cryptozoology, sort of connected.
Yeah, I got cryptoid.
I know you have. That's why we're connecting it. Have you heard that in Skegness it may be so bracing as they say, but what has been lurking in the water? A mystery sea creature captured on video off the Skegness coast has been intriguing marine experts and beachgoers alike.
I'm sorry, but they need to put their glasses on.
Right. This woman, she was on the beach with her family, a London resident, and she took the video whilst visiting friends in Skegness, initially thinking it was just rubbish floating on the surface, but on further inspection decided it may be some sort of creature. The footage, shot on Sunday, shows several fins bobbing up and down on the choppy water, just metres off the coast, where children can be seen paddling in the shallow water. She said, "It may sound silly, but I thought it looked rather reptilian, like a crocodile or a dragon, as the fins seemed more rigid than they do on sharks." The video has since been a topic of conversation on national breakfast radio shows, with the hosts offering outlandish suggestions for the creature's taxonomy, including a sea monster or a 20-foot worm. Okay. Skegness RNLI coxswain John Irving was also intrigued by the footage of the creature when he felt which he felt could either be a killer whale or a basking shark. Neither species are regular visitors to the East Coast. However, a confirmed killer whale sighting has been made off the Wales coast in Norfolk early this year, and Mr. Irving has himself sighted a basking shark near Skegness, although that was many years ago. Now, senior biologist Marcus Williams of the National Aquarium in Portsmouth has since said that he can confirm that it is more likely to be 1 or 2 basking sharks. He said it's unusual to see a basking shark on that area of the coast. They are, however, typically spotted in the summer months of these, and these we would estimate are larger than 5 metres. We have recently seen a second plankton bloom on which the species feed, with water temperatures in excess of 15 degrees Celsius, which are perfect conditions for these gentle giants. Interestingly, in the video, the water is choppy and typically, excuse me, not most suitable for basking sharks to feed. But as a charity with conservation at our core, he continues that we'd urge people to admire these spectacular creatures that are anything but monsters. So, yes, so he believes that it's just these basking sharks. Just looked at it, he said that's something. Someone asked, someone taking the proverbial.
Well, I had a quick look at it when you had it on the other day. And to me, it seems pretty obvious that the sea lions.
Well, they could be sea lions, yeah.
I've seen many a monster
Seals?
in Skegness, though.
Oh, yeah.
Could be anything,
On the subject of Skegness, have you heard the latest? You know the old sailor man, like Skegness's bracelet?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, you know he's got his arms stretched out.
Yeah.
Well, he's been told to rein it in because they're saying that for health and safety reasons, the children or anyone could hang on it and obviously they could fall off the arms.
Yeah.
So they're bringing his arms in. Now, the thing is, that poor guy's been there for donkeys.
He's been there for donkeys years,
you know, and now they've only just come up with it. Oh, it's ridiculous.
Well,
health and safety for you.
It's health and safety.
They figured he needed a rest.
Oh dear. Yeah, John said he thought it might be dolphins at the end of the day. You never know. It could be anything like that. But it definitely ain't a weird creature.
I mean, to me, the mere fact that you're seeing several bits come up at the same time and disappearing, it looks like sea lions at play.
Well, this is it.
To me. I mean, I didn't have a real close look at it, but just seems pretty obvious it's not a bloody great killer whale.
No, this is it.
Not a large basking shark either.
Now, hopefully, he'll be able to hear us when we contact him.
Hopefully he will, but
But continuing from that...
Pterosaurs.
Oh, pterosaurs.
Are they still with us? Dozens of
know.
eyewitness accounts and a few intriguing photographs suggest that this is a monster that might not have died out with the dinosaurs.
Well, we've heard this recently. There's been quite a few remarks that there's been these flying pterodactyls and stuff.
They have to. They've been seen in the Midwest and in the USA. They've been seen in Australia and flying over cities as well, for that matter. But these creatures have a wingspan of nearly 40 feet.
They're kites.
This is a bloody big animal.
It sounds to me like they're kites.
Now, notice I didn't say bird. because
no, they're mammals, aren't they?
No, they're actually classed as flying lizards. They're not even classed as dinosaurs. Believe it or not. But no, they're not. They're not classed as dinosaurs. They're classed as large flying reptiles. It says here that they're not related to birds, as dinosaurs are theorized to be, and were highly successful flyers who might have dined on fish and insects. But I know I've spotted some lately on the about.com where they've been getting some reports.
Yeah.
But there was quite a few between 1960 and 1982. Now, considering these animals are supposed to have died out 65 million years ago, what are we seeing, guys?
I don't know, but I've just clicked onto a website here. It says apparently living pterosaurs have been seen by 1,400 Americans, according to author Jonathan Whitcomb. A cryptozoologist estimates that at least 1,400 credible eyewitnesses have seen in the United States over the past 29 years large flying creatures, unlike any known bird or bat, apparent pterosaurs.
Yeah, I mean, if you think you've seen one, I mean, they're bigger than the pterodactyl and the pterodon. As I say, they have a wingspan of 40 feet. They stand on rather spindly legs and had wings composed of a leathery membrane that stretched from the animal's extremely long forefinger to its body. Despite their appearance, they are not related to birds.
No, so, well...
But the only thing I would say about the Americans... and I do like the Americans, but Are they individual reports, or were they all high on something?
Well, you never know. You never know. So
depends on if they
we'll
were
have
living
to
down
see
in
what
the
happens.
mid-south.
We'll have to see. We'll have to check with John Downs, our
Yes.
cryptozoology director of the Centre of 14 Zoology.
Oh yes.
See whether he can enlighten us on
I
that.
always remember there was a report, and it's just reminded me, I think it was back in the early 90s, that somebody had seen a pterodactyl around New Zealand, Australia.
Yeah.
I always remember that. I think
I remember
I think
him
I'd read it
saying
in
that.
it was a newspaper article, I think
Yeah.
it was. And they just shunned it. So I don't know, there might be something in that.
Well, this is it. Well, John said it sounds like Jurassic Park, which I keep saying to myself, can you cross frog DNA with an elephant? Can you do that? And Eric says...
It would be a weird-looking elephant, but yeah.
Allegedly.
Presumably
allegedly. But he says anything is possible. Parts of Earth have not been investigated yet, which is true.
You also have to take into account that there are known species that can change sex just to keep the breed going.
Keep the breed going.
Keep the breed going, because so it's not necessarily the case that frogs we know can do it. So. And the frog is classed as a reptile.
Well, there are some breeds out there that are monosex. They don't need another partner to, they'll breed themselves. But if you think of the size of Australia, there's no way that the whole of Australia's been discovered yet.
Oh no!
It's
outback
vast.
and all that.
Of course.
Yeah, it's the same with these tribes in other countries where they're going on about pink-headed ducks and stuff.
Don't you start on the pink-headed duck. That's a nice little duck. Leave him alone. You leave him alone, you. They've been... Sue and Gary, the old tailor bird that you told you about earlier, they've been picking on this pink-headed duck all weekend.
No, we haven't picked on him.
You were taking the mick.
No, he was not.
Well, Gary definitely was. And you was encouraging him.
Oh dear. John said if you cross an elephant with a kangaroo, would you get big holes all over Australia? I don't know. Well, what do you think? So we're going to try and get hold of our friend.
I do actually think that is quite possible. I really do.
So,
like Neil said, there's vast areas of America as well that are not populated.
Well, this is it.
So especially up in the Rocky Mountains and stuff.
That thing I've seen over in Canada, and the Canadian prairie is just so vast. There's no way on earth that people have crossed the whole of that and seen it all.
No, this is it.
And not forgetting, back in the 60s as well, they were doing a lot of chemical testing over there for chemical weapons, and there's still some of them areas that are quite at risk, and they're all sort of blocked out. Who's to say something hasn't sort of crossed the line and has got a reaction and has grown 4 times the size as it should be.
So we've now got a frog the size of an elephant.
Well, you never know.
So don't forget, you can listen to this again, or if anyone's missed it, they can listen to it again on www.ktpf.co.uk.
Now this is going to be a first now, because we're bringing Skype up on the other computer across the room. And we're going to hope he can actually hear us.
Yes, so we'll see what happens there. So, as I say, we are on
Talk Radio.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, yeah. Which is where
you hear us, we hear you.
Yeah, definitely. So, if you want to give us a call when we contact Mr. Graham Palk.
As Mundo said, that's a bad one. That is.
I love it. Right. Okay. So,
would it sound better if I did it?
You hear us?
You hear us?
I think
we hear you.
The joke on that.
The joke.
That one.
I
want to breed sheep and kangaroo just with a woolly jumper. Right. Okay. Let's see if we can get hold of our friend Graham.
That is definitely a bad one.
And let's hope he can hear us.
Yeah. Apart from everything else that Graham does, he actually does wands.
Wands, yes.
Now these are crystals that have been put together in different formations, and they're actually held together by natural tree sap. So there's no horrible glue or anything. It's all completely natural. You know that necklace of mine?
Yeah.
That was one of his.
All right.
Yes. So yeah.
And for those of you that come with a sort of thing. You may have seen what Kat calls Sue's mangina. It's a rather large wand crystal.
Yeah.
It's held together with natural tree sap.
Right, let me just tell you what Graham does.
Good.
The Aether Guard is a neighbourhood watch for energy, spiritual people. Right, we're calling him.
Yes. And we have to be nice with him. He's a little bit nervous as to what to say.
Yeah.
On air.
On air.
1-to-1, he'll talk the hind leg off a donkey, but I think he's just a bit...
Hello, 2 seconds, my love. I just want to turn you around a bit, if I can.
There we go. Have you got it?
Yeah, I think so.
Can you speak to us, Graham?
Yeah, I can speak to you. What do you want me to say?
Right, can everybody hear him now?
I will go down and check downstairs.
Yeah, go and check downstairs. How are you, Graham?
I am good. Good. All is moving politely.
Eh?
All is moving along nicely.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, good. How's the cat?
Still very ill, but getting there.
Oh, bless.
We've got a chance of getting into in a clinical trial.
Right. Okay. Right, so Graham, everybody's saying hi to you in the chat room. Okay, and I've just been telling everyone, the Aether Guard is a neighbourhood watch for energy and spiritual people of all cultures, religions, and paths and systems. Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
For several years, we have worked quietly with several other organisations throughout the UK, but with the increase in energy users, there has been an increase in accidental and deliberate misuse of energies within the UK. Would you like to tell us a bit more then, Graham?
That's a pretty succinct description off the website.
Yeah, I am reading off your website.
Yeah, I mean, especially over the last 50 years, especially the increase in also paranormal sightings and investigations, pagan groups, the greater use of internet, the crossover of systems and traditions has created a wealth of accidents and issues throughout the whole of the UK and the wider world.
Right. Well, for those of you who don't know, we met Graham about over a year ago now, at least, wasn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
At a Mind, Body and Spirit fair, because you sell your wands and stuff, don't you?
Yeah, yeah.
Right, and basically, as I say, you're doing this Aether Guard, and there is a lot of energies going around at the moment, isn't there?
It is an incredibly busy time right now, especially with the build of energies of the planet, the increase of external astrological energies and frequencies, all culminating with the chaos that will be 2012 and beyond. Yeah.
Well, obviously 2012 is not going to happen, we assume.
Well, not in the way that the newspapers hype it up to be, certainly.
Well, what's your theory on that then?
The theory is, and actually it comes directly from the Mayan and the Nostradamus, is that it is a period of change and chaos with such variation and instability that it is impossible to predict the future at that point. And it was set as 15 years of change and uncertainty in the original manuscripts. Right.
So should we go back to the Stone Age then?
Oh, way back. Yeah, I mean, it was all the systems had records of this. There's records in Egypt. There's even records in the Bible about this.
Yeah.
There are records everywhere that this was coming, and that it will be a very interesting time for humanity.
So
we have the chance to grow. We have the chance to fall.
So what should we do?
The most important lesson with the Aether Guard and with all of this is be aware. The more you know, the more you're aware of, the better you can, I suppose, surf the chaos.
Yeah.
There will be an increase in natural portals opening. There has already been shown in the latter half of this year an increase in spirits and, I'd say, so ghost is not necessarily the right word, but spirit memory appearing in locations. There's a greater amount of motion
spirits of various sorts, from nature spirits through to departed spirits. Especially over those last 6 months, the increase has been quite impressive.
So when you call yourself a neighbourhood watch, what does that actually involve, Graham?
It's based on the original precepts and concepts of the neighbourhood watch. The idea is, if you see something, you become aware of something, or you know something, or suspect something of an issue, or somebody is causing harm, or creating or using magics or paranormals in a negative or harmful manner, we serve as a body of people who you can come to for advice, or you can come to us and we can resolve the issues.
Right.
In extreme cases, we work very closely with various police forces to ensure a variety of resolutions and help, as well as working with lots of therapists and teachers throughout the country who can help people who've made mistakes and, I suppose the word is rehabilitate in a way.
Yeah.
Teach them that wasn't necessarily a good idea.
When you say, mistakes, who are these people? Are they people that? Pardon?
It is amazing, actually. It is every age, every skill, every walk of life. The majority, I suppose, are people who are just learning, or just becoming sensitive to things, and suddenly they start being aware of spirits or departed spirits or all sorts of energies around them, and they don't understand it, they don't know what to do, they're scared by it. And who do they talk to?
What is that?
Well, thankfully, the spiritual movement has grown immensely.
Yeah.
But we also serve as a point of contact, either to pass them on to spiritual people, or to go, don't worry, it's not bad, it's just scary. Let's talk you through it.
Eric wants to know if you're ready and how.
Very, very good question. Yeah. Very, very, very good question indeed. The Aether Guard, in one form or another, has been in existence for over 8,000 years in the UK.
Right.
It harks all the way back to the ancient, very ancient Druid Council. Yeah. Now, we don't talk about it too much because the point is, thousands of years ago, it was no longer Druids.
Right.
It is every single system is represented. Well, not every. Most systems are represented. All systems are recognised. There is no bias to any system or methodology or mechanology. So that, and actually, we much prefer every member of the Aether Guard to be developed in one or more system or path to make them more able to be versatile.
Right.
We have several grades within the Aether Guard itself.
Yeah.
Everything from the very, very, very open neighbourhood watch, where you do not have to join, you do not have to remember, it is just open completely to the public in every way, shape and form. Any form of contact through Facebook, through mobiles, through emails, through face-to-face. We have a number of shops throughout the UK where you can actually just walk into and say, oh, I've found a problem.
Right.
Working through other company shops and things. Friends.
Yeah.
Friends of the Aether Guard, you might call them.
Yeah.
And then you have what we call the Aether Guard guards.
Yeah.
Who each have been trained, each have been tested, and have a level of skill and responsibility. Some are not much more than the ordinary person or the non-member. They're just involved, they help out, they join in, they watch. But every single person who is a guard has been through a rigorous oath that helps bind their magic to some degree to be truthful to within the system. And it goes up through several levels of years of knowledge, years of experience, to administrating large areas of the UK. It's been broken up into 13 main areas, each with an administrative head, so to speak, so that each person can deal with local complaints or local issues.
Yeah.
And then we also have all of our connections to external organisations like the Pagan Federation, the Wiccan Councils, and a whole load of many smaller local covenants, paranormal groups, who independently look after their own areas or eyes and ears, or even act on our behalf.
Right. I'm also being asked whether you're part of a religious group.
Absolutely not.
Right.
We are non-political and non-religious as a group. Individually, each person is 100% entitled to their own beliefs, but they do not impact in any way on any of the work we do.
Right. And why am I getting visions of Sir Gawain?
Of what?
Sir Gawain.
Sir Gawain.
Is that his right name? Is that his name, Sir Gawain?
You mean one of the Knights of the Round Table?
Yeah. Why am
Knights
I
of the
thinking
Round
that?
Tables. Well, yeah, it has been said. It does. We do have a very rigorous honour code, and for when there are extremely dark situations and extremely dangerous situations, we do have what we call the Aether Knights.
Right.
Who are, and the idea is, on the energetic planes, they appear as knights, complete with all the logos that would represent the Aether Guard.
Yeah.
The point is it protects the person themselves by disguising them as a knight, so that they can't be harmed as a physical person, they can't be tracked as a physical person, but it makes them able to work more detailed, more delicately, or more forcefully when necessary with some of the bigger and nastier things out there.
Right, okay. So you're here tonight to tell us about protection, cleansing and other spiritual paranormal issues. So what are you to tell us?
Well, that is a massive issue, isn't it, really?
Yes.
Absolutely, the most important thing is awareness. So, as many paranormal groups do, you have a medium or a diviner or a seer or somebody to collect information.
That's Neil. He's here with us now.
Yeah, absolutely. Because without that, you know, you are really blind in what work you're doing. You know, it really is that simple. And then, of course, with each issue or situation, you then have to handle it according to the situation. If you are in a place which happens to have just stored decades of negative energy, then various systems of cleansings, right from the Christian blessings through to spiritualistic Reiki variations, to using salt, to using essences, huge combinations of things. As a person, individually, I always recommend that people carry tiger's eye crystal and snowflake obsidian crystals, because the snowflake obsidian is great for warding off negativity. Other things like amber and jet are great for clearing up and redirecting nasty and negativity. And the tiger's eye strengthens you. And the stronger you are, the less anything can affect you as an individual.
Okay. And going back to what you were saying earlier, how confident are you that it can work without compromise? The Aether Guard and that. Somebody just asked that question.
It's a really solid question.
From a religious point of view, I think.
The key is, and I know personally myself before I joined, I was really worried, how on earth can we trust these people to be trustworthy? I think that's kind of what you're saying, isn't it? How can we be certain that you guys aren't going to misuse your knowledge, your power, your situations? On the website, we do actually detail what we call the magical oath bond. Simply put, especially for the higher the level, the more stringent and strict this oath bond is. But part of the way it works is if we misuse our powers and break the rules of the Aether Guard, we instantaneously lose our own powers, our own skill, our own energy. So it's really daft of us to even try, quite simply.
I see.
And it's been tried and tested over several thousand years. We're pretty confident in it. We are.
So, well, we've got our medium with us tonight. So, you know, and as I say,
a question for your medium then.
Go on then.
Oh, I didn't have one.
No, he's got one for you.
Go on, Graham. Yeah, sorry, how you doing?
Then I'll let you ask me first.
No, it's all right. Go and ask him, Graham. Ask him. He was just
fire away, Graham.
He was introducing himself. He said hello.
Sorry. Hello. As a medium,
yeah.
Do you find that there are times when there are thousands of voices clamouring to get to you?
To be honest, Graham, it's something I've been saying, and Steve will back me up on this, for the last sort of 6 months now, that there is a lot of change coming this way. You know, that I've had trouble working in some respect with the amount of energy that's coming through at the moment. Yes, but what you're saying there with the voices, I've had a lot of that for the past 15 years. But I've done a lot of sort of exorcism work as well in the last sort of 20 years. I was sort of putting it down to that, to be honest. I do a lot of lost soul work and things like that. But I do know, and I have been saying for the last 6 months, that some big change is on its way, and it's going to affect all of us.
Absolutely.
And not just on a spiritual plane, it's going to be on a physical plane as well. So.
Oh God, yes. Oh God, yes. Well, I mean, even just in the last 6 months, and whilst a lot of us do dismiss the solar flares and solar spots and meteor storms and all this thing as a minor thing, when you combine them together and time them just badly enough, the effects are quite profound. We had a big situation earlier this year, and it was people were coming onto the Facebook site day after day after day, struggling with the same things over and over again, and we were having to teach people how to harmonize their energies with the energies that were powering through the earth from the ether and from the universe itself.
Yeah.
But to go back to the lots of voices, what we're finding is that because of the increase of energy in humanity and the increase of energy on the planet, more and more departed spirits and spirits are trying to make themselves heard.
Yes.
They're trying to communicate. And one of the best techniques we've found for dealing with this is to visualize that it's like a portal or doorway above your head, a disc shape we find quite useful. And you visualize a key, and you actually put it into the portal and you turn it until it closes like an iris to whatever aperture and size you want for that moment in time. What this does, it quiets down the voices. You can restrict it so that only one voice can be heard at any one time, and this can enable you to be more focused in the work that you do, and it can enable you to turn off the voices for periods of time so you can have time out. Have any helped you, Neil?
I've worked on another system that is working. I tell them all to shut up and wait the turn.
That's the other one we talk about is causing a state of respect.
Yes.
Because they are, at the end of the day, they're people.
Yes, exactly.
But they've forgotten sometimes our civilized system, but they are still people. As long as, if you say, I'll be available to you between this time and this time, as long as you're not bugging me from this time to this time, very, very useful, as long as you do stick to your end of the bargain.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, this is it.
We've had quite a few training for that this year, and it's been quite interesting how you can control the volumes, the number of people coming through, and the times as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, Graham, would you also say it's a good idea to have your space? So you basically say to spirit, this is my place, you're not allowed in, i.e. your bedroom.
Territories, sacred spaces, personal spaces, absolutely. Because of the position I'm in the Aether Guard, I get thousands of spirits of the human and departed all the time. My house as a whole is actually a no-go zone. I actually make them all wait in the garden and wait their turn when I get them manifesting, which can be quite entertaining when you've got visitors. But I do know a lot of people, it's the bedroom they reserve, and they keep the living room for working in, and they alternate things like that.
So I take it you're quite busy then at the moment with this neighbourhood watch scheme.
It's been we've actually just this month we're in a bit of a lull now since we were helping out with the Olympic Games.
Yeah.
And that took up one of the greatest amounts of resources we've used in an incredibly long time. And it was good that we did, because there was what was called a spiritualist terrorist attempt.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awfully complicated words, but basically they were going to try and let off an energetic device during the 200-meter race. We had advanced warning, and we worked and enabled the police to catch them, which was very useful.
This is it.
But Graham, what would the police actually charge him with?
Well, the only way we can work with that is if it is an energetic or magical thing, then it's up to us to deal with. Often we find that people who work in a negative manner energetically often also work around the outside of the law as well. Right. It seems to be part of the mindset. If they're deliberately causing harm, they're deliberately flouting the laws. So we can ensure that the law flouting is suddenly made visible to the policeman. Does that make any sense?
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. Okay, I've got a couple of questions for you. The one thing we British hate is queuing and waiting. Yeah?
Oh, God, yes.
Do you think it's the same in the spirit world? When you tell them to wait?
Probably.
Actually, do you know what? I'd probably say not so much, because they don't have as much... From a purely personal point of view, and some of the people I've worked with, we don't seem to register or see as much of the same civilization restrictions as we have here in the spirit world.
Right.
Quite often they're not even aware that there's a night and a day.
No, their timescales are different, aren't they?
Yeah,
yeah.
Big time.
Yeah,
there's much less awareness.
Yeah, they don't see time the way we do.
And yeah, they do queue, and they do get annoyed at queuing.
Yeah.
But there's also that slightly less, you have to teach them all over again to be queuing and to behave and take it in turns.
So, and what do you expect, when do you expect things to start happening fully?
Right. We are on what's called the upward curve to the start point at the moment, which is why this year has been busy for most people, especially July and August were periods of endings and transitional disruptions of life. You must know hundreds of people around you who've either lost jobs, changed their long-term relationships, or sudden long-term things just disappeared in July and August as part of the upswing of preparation. But officially,
not too far away from me.
On the 21st of December is when it officially starts.
So the 21st of December, which is, they were going on about Mayan calendar and end of the world and blah, blah, blah.
That's the Mayan calendar start point, yes.
That's when it's going to happen.
Now, yeah, the fun thing is that because it is a period in which thousands of variable forces will be applied at the same time, no one can actually know what's going to happen.
Right.
It's completely uncertain. All the theories, everything from Planet X to UFO invasion to new chakras on the body to the destruction of the Earth, to just a slight change in the United States or just a collapse of the EU. Any one of those is a likelihood and a possibility. Any one of those is completely unlikely.
So you've heard of this new chakras then, have you, Neil?
Well, yeah, I mean, they're calling it new chakras, but they're also... there's an old scripture saying that certain people will be chosen and they'll bear the sign.
Yeah.
You know, so... I put the both in the same hand, to be honest.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's one of those. There is for every thought process, for every philosophy, there is some system in which there will be a major upsurge, a major change, including and extreme as the Messiah may return for Christ, or what was the other one? The Mayan.
Don't go down the David Icke route, will you?
No, it's not. No. But if you go down that route, you will get the whole reptile list as well.
Oh,
the point is, every single system has gone major point of chaos. Anything could happen. Well, our thing will happen.
Right.
But the problem is, any one of them could. None of them could, because they're all going to be competing to happen. Because it is a state of pure, unadulterated chaos, and it happens so incredibly rarely.
Yeah.
So the early prophecies if you track the whole thing past, there was a period which was utter certainty for 15 years.
Yeah.
And prophecy swings backwards and forwards like this, but that's a whole world of awkwardness.
Well, we've been asked to ask you, well, somebody said the government know more than what they like to portray, but in that instance, would you say that the Mayan calendar was just a big political statement by the then ruler?
Well, the Mayan system was based around their energies anyway. Their government was based around their, what we'd call, magical energies.
Right.
Their priesthood was their government. So in a sense, yes, in a sense, no.
Right.
Well, I did read...
In terms of our government, absolutely. There is proof during both World War II and the Cold War of Germany and Russia and America and Britain all having departments devoted to psychic research.
Really?
And absolutely. And I cannot tell you the exact location, but I do know, because we have been involved in it in the past, that members of the royal family are always trained.
You seem to know about this, Neil.
Hitler was quite big on the subject, to be honest, and he was doing a lot of experimental stuff.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, all them Indiana Jones films, they're not totally made up.
Oh, no.
He was very much into the occult and religious objects.
Pardon?
It really was.
Pardon?
World War II was a war of ideology and magic.
Really?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There are bunkers full of collected items.
Wow.
Just the same as the Templars did.
Yeah.
Like the Templars, they were collectors. That's all they did.
Mm.
They joined every group at some point in their history because they were collecting stuff.
Wow.
Yeah. On that thing with the Mayans, I've actually read something that was found in one of the temples. They actually said that one of the kings was defeated, and what was come out as being 2012 was basically him giving a statement, bigging himself up and allowing his allies to know that he was still alive. So it was like a big, look guys, I'm still here, we can still win this kind of thing.
Have you heard that, Graham?
I have to admit, I've not looked at the politics and things like that of those, but well, there are a number of instances of similar things in most of the ancient races where they've utilised religious dates to their benefit.
Is there any chance when the 21st comes and everything kicks off, just out of curiosity, right, somebody said, will the dead return to assist us? Is it possible?
Well, you see, that's one of those wonderfully vague statements, isn't it?
Yeah.
Aren't the dead already assisting us?
Well, this is it. They normally do, don't they?
Yeah, they're already talking to us all the time.
Yeah.
So maybe that means they come in greater numbers with more assistance.
Yeah.
Or just to certain people, it means they rise from the graves in the mortuaries and storm the Bastille. You know.
Yeah. Neil, what do you think, Neil?
Personally, do you know what I think will happen?
On
the 21st, on the 22nd, we'll all wake up and go,
what happened?
Nothing's different. Nothing's happened. And I bet I would not be at all surprised if there is a lull between the 21st of December until end of February.
Really?
That'd be my guess. That's my guess.
Yeah.
Literally a guess. And then we'll suddenly look back at sort of April time and go, holy crap, that was a busy March, April.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
We found that, was it last year, the year before, it became very busy with, end of last year, beginning of this, became very busy with house investigations. We had quite a few of them, didn't we? Yeah, we had a spate of them, big time.
So, and that's what it's going to be. There's going to be these sudden surges of things that are going to keep us all suddenly really busy for something. Then there'll be a gap while something else happens. And this is the major reason why the Aether Guard set up the Neighbourhood Watch and is trying to reach out to groups and organisations who already exist to do the work. I mean, there are loads of beautiful, brilliant paranormal organisations and groups throughout this UK, and the more we can work with you guys locally, the better coverage, the better information we can share.
Yeah.
The more able we can all help each other with unique problems that are going to crop up, and to spot patterns emerging in strange things.
This is it.
And that's one of the major drives for us over the next year, is to try and get more groups as friends of the Aether Guard. That's our major drive this year. Right.
Now, Nostradamus, he done a lot of predictions. When did these predictions stop, or are they still going?
Oh, no. Well, his pretty much stayed the same as the Mayans. There is this period of chaos for the next. But he does have a couple of predictions in the future, only about half a dozen or so.
Yeah.
But they're all 500 years, between 300 and 500 years in the future.
Right.
To things that are so big, so important, that no matter what happens in the next 15 years, those will still happen because they're far enough past it.
Right. Okay.
But yeah, he leaves a massive gap where he actually, there's one of them he just writes, I think I've got no chance.
Right. I've got a question for yourself, Graham, and Neil on this one. To be honest, are we getting more spirit, or are more people becoming aware of them?
Both. Absolutely both.
Neil's smiling, so I'm assuming he agrees with you.
Because we do seem to be getting a lot more people that are becoming more sensitive to it.
What's happening is
there's a greater number of people becoming aware than there has been in 1,000 years.
Yeah.
That the pace of and percentage of people becoming aware is phenomenal, absolutely stunning and amazing it is.
Yeah.
But the existing psychics are all saying that it's noisier, there are more people trying to get through, the messages are becoming more important, more strident, but there is also, because of this, an increase in more spirits trying to sneak through. More spirits trying to trick their way through, and we have a greater increase in number of portals being opened, greater use of Ouija boards being used again. They've become fashionable again, unfortunately, and a whole variety of other things like that. It is a massive upsurge.
Yeah, it's all right using them if you know what you're bloody doing. That's the trouble.
That's it. A Ouija board is only safe if you have a medium to channel.
Yeah.
The difference between a Ouija board, a talking board, and a medium is safe. A talking board is safe because it uses a medium.
Yeah. And
a Ouija board on its own opens a portal directly under a glass with zero protection of any sort.
Yeah, if you're doing it on your own, yeah. Yeah, you do need somebody there who knows what they're doing. Yeah. So, Neil, have you got anything to say about any of that?
I'm just with Graham on that, and I think as well because of the amount of energy that's coming through as well in this change. I'm seeing quite a high fluctuation in the next generation of psychics, as in children.
Yeah.
You know, there's a hell of a lot more children now that are perceptive to spirit than what there would have been 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Massive change in there, and of what's being reported as well. You know, people just don't know what to do with that.
No.
You know?
No, this is it.
And this is why we need big organisations, isn't it? Things that can be noticed globally and things. I mean, part of it is that this sort of paranormal and energetic spiritual is now part of the mainstream ethos. It's visible in movies, it's visible in stories. The kids aren't being told it's an imaginary friend anymore.
Yeah.
No.
They're being given the choice that it might be real now.
Yeah.
And there are many more parents telling their kids that it is real and teaching them how to do it. So, you know, we've got 3 ways in which the kids are growing at a greater percentage. And it's going to create an amazing next 20 years.
This is it. So
yeah, we have a question on here as well. It was Eric was saying that were we actually meant to see these predictions, because Nostradamus himself actually tried to hide them.
Yes, he did try to hide them. His letter, if I remember this correctly, it's been a while since I read this, but he wrote a letter to a friend with the explanation of the code in it, but sent it in a way that his friend would never actually receive it, and it could only be read when it was unearthed more than 100 years later.
Right. Okay.
So he deliberately encoded it for later generations.
I see. Is there any likelihood that we might be able to have communication with aliens in this new world, so to speak?
Well, there are many people who are already stating that they are, and there is enough concerted and synchronous evidence to indicate that they are certainly talking to something.
Yeah.
And it also depends on your definition of alien.
Right.
If you think about it, any spirit that is not of the earth would be an alien spirit.
Right.
Would be an alien. Simple as that. Anything that's not earthbound is alien, isn't it?
Yes. It's funny you should say that, because our Ashley, and I always quote him, I must admit, he's always said, how do we know we're actually listening to spirit and not aliens?
Exactly. I say they're the same things.
Really?
We classify them as aliens. That's how we classify them.
Right.
And you mentioned Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
Well, I was watching The Crystal Skull the other day, just out of entertainment, because it is fun. But what happens at the end there? What are they? They are interdimensional aliens.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. But if you go back to the legend in which they stole that from, if you go back to the Daegu tribe in South Africa, you go back to the Incas, each one of them has records of an alien species that they have communicated with. There is no evidence or record that they ever physically spoke with them, but every one of those tribes and systems all utilized standard shamanic other state awareness and communications. So it stands to reason that actually they could have been communicating with other people from other planets or other times over the energetic planes. There's evidence that the Native American shamans communicated in the energy planes with the British Druids. We have evidence that they did this and communicated in shared knowledge, having never met physically, having had no sabbatical transit across the Atlantic because it was too far, but they still communicated. So if you can do that distance, any distance is irrelevant on the energetic planes.
Yeah.
We could have been, the Daegu in South Africa had knowledge of a planetary system of Sirius, which the scientists only managed to agree with within the last 10 years. They announced it 50 years ago, that this tribe, they announced it on record 50 years ago. They said they've had it for over 2,000 years. And they've still got additional knowledge that we still haven't even managed to prove yet scientifically.
Right.
Where the hell did they get this from? Well, they say they got it from aliens. They got drawings of the aliens, names of them all, everything. So there's enough proof out there.
Eric says that spirits and aliens are amongst us. It may be you or I at the end of the day. He feels,
absolutely. There's a druid legend in which humanity, being one of the greatest species of adaptability, carries within its own spirits the equivalent of a spiritual DNA of other species for a time when there's enough energy for them to come back. It's a long theory, but there's a lot more to it to that. But it's the whole, there's so much out there that is non-human, as it were.
Yeah.
We're crazy to ignore it.
So, does any of this actually affect the 2012 change? Am I reading out of text here, Eric? He said, does any of this affect the 2012 change? Or does it also...
Everything.
Does it also...
It's one of those things, I think. It's all a mix of both.
What about the communication with does this also affect the 2012 change? He was wondering about that, but you answered that question. John said, bless him, he's a firm believer that things happen for a reason. That
absolutely.
The fact that he they chose that we choose our own fate. For example, setting up and searching for his wife's family, and within 2 months he found me and Steve. Bless him.
There you go.
And Eric said that life, you agree life before you were born. Basically, that's what Eric thinks.
There's a whole big spiritual movement about choosing your family and choosing the battles and the challenges that you will have to overcome and deal with in this life. The discussion becomes, how much of it did we choose? Did we just choose certain battles? Did we choose certain aspects? Or did we choose every single tiny moment?
Yeah.
My personal belief is there is a fate. a destiny, but there is also free will, and they balance each other out, and they alternate, they teeter, and they work side by side, hand in hand. So yes, we may have chosen to pick a life where we would deal with certain things in our fate, in our past and in our futures, but we still have free will to decide when in our lives to do it. We still have the free will to say, actually, I've changed my mind, I don't want to, and screw our lives over. We have free will to make the mistake and ignore the lesson. But there's also the destiny and the fate there to provide the opportunity to learn the lesson and advance. But that's purely a personal philosophy.
Yeah.
How do you go with that one, Neil?
Mine's similar. I mean, what I've been taught is that we're all given a path. It's our own life's choices that make that path hard or easy to walk. But we are given obstacles that are thrown down at us, and it depends on how we deal with them obstacles, as whether they go away or they're given to us again later on in life. And
we call those fate roundabouts.
Yes, without the signs.
Yeah.
The number of times I've come to the same roundabout is really quite frustrating. It takes a while to learn the lesson sometimes.
I'm still on one, Graham, so don't worry.
Well, actually,
I'm just sitting in the middle watching you go around it.
Now the fourth time I've reached it,
right.
I finally think I've got it right this time.
Right.
Because this time I've not chosen an answer, because I realised the path, the outcome, the answer was irrelevant.
Yeah.
The only thing that mattered was how I handled myself when making the decision.
Right.
Because I tried every path.
Mm.
When that didn't work.
No.
What did I do wrong? And I realised it was the lesson is developing self.
Yeah.
Not doing, but self.
Yeah.
And it's concerted, deliberate effort is my lesson.
That's your lesson there. Right, so your website, as we said, the website is Aether Guard, AETHER guard.org.uk.
Yep.
And we can find you on Facebook.
Facebook pages. Yep.
So they can look for you on there, and obviously if they're having any problems, they can contact you and stuff. Yeah.
Absolutely. Phone numbers and email addresses on the website and on the Facebook page.
Right. Okay. Well, thank you again, Graham.
Pleasure.
I don't know when we're going to see you again. Are you due up for Galton Monastery, or are you doing Derby?
I'm actually, as a retailer, not doing shows anymore, but I am planning on doing several talks as Aether Guard over the next year or so, but we're yet to be decided exactly what and when.
What's happening?
But I will be touring as a person.
What's happening about your wands? Are you still doing them?
I've sold them all off.
Oh right, okay, because my brother-in-law said he wanted one.
Well, I might have. I've got a few bits and pieces left. Depends on what he wants.
He wants something similar to what
Steve.
He wants something similar to what Steve had, with the rose quartz. So.
Right.
Okay, but whatever you've got, let us know. And
mine one was blue kyanite and moonstone.
Moonstone. So.
I don't know if I've got any rose quartz, but I'll have a look in the kyanite box and see what I can find for you.
Okay, well just email us and let us know. All right, my love, and we'll sort something out. Okay. Well, thanks again, my darling. Take care. Good luck with the move. And don't be a stranger. And hopefully I'll speak to you soon.
And don't forget to contact us when you want to start your own one up.
Yes, and then we'll sort out your radio show.
Yeah, as soon as I've moved, pretty much. Yeah.
All right then, Graham. Take care, babe.
Bye, Graham.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Well, there you have it. That was Graham.
No.
He's not a bad chappy, is he, really?
And that wasn't as daft as you maybe thought it was.
Yeah.
There's a lot of sense in there.
Of course there is.
I mean, there's bits where you're going to go, I'm not sure about that.
Yeah.
But
sounds a bit.
If you listen to the way he talks.
Yeah.
So did you change your mind, Eric?
even the bits that don't make sense and you think that's a bit David Icke, like Eric did.
Yeah.
Suddenly start to link in with what does make sense.
Yeah.
And it starts to make you wonder.
Yeah.
So, did you change your mind after all that, Eric? He wasn't that bad, was he? So.
Having said that, I have done a bit of work with him.
Yes, I know you have. And he has actually said that he does need paranormal groups like us to help in our regions.
Out, yeah.
So, but so what do you think, Mr. Neil?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of his ideas and beliefs are quite similar to mine.
Yeah.
So, you know, I did catch on to a lot of stuff that he was saying there.
Yeah, so, you know, it wasn't all a load of gibberish,
No,
was it?
not at all. Not at all.
So, and there are changes afoot.
Yeah.
Oh, there is changes, yeah.
And Route 1 with the Aether Guard is just being sensitive enough to spot when things don't feel right. And you don't have to know what doesn't feel right. You just have to know that it doesn't. And then you just tell them and what area it is, and somebody will check it out.
See, a lot of my medium friends are actually calling this period the calling. They believe that they're being called up now, and it's their period of calling. You know, and in some way I believe that, because I'm sort of, I know I'm going to work on a higher level somewhere very soon for some reason. I can feel that, and I don't know whether that's going to be as a collective or whether it's going to be on my own. I don't know. But I do feel that something is going to happen where
you got some spiritual
where
work
I'm
coming.
supposed to be here for, you know, and that's I suppose you could call that a spiritual calling, you know.
Hopefully it's to kick my ass and get me working.
Could be.
So, well, this is it. You just never know.
Yeah. I don't actually, to be honest, I don't think I'm going to come really into my own until I get this sorted. Get the operation and that done, finished, and out of the way.
Like I say, they'll tell you when they're ready. You know?
Well, this is it.
You've got to be ready yourself, you know. And if you're not ready, they won't work with you fully.
No.
I mean, they are working with me, especially on the protective side. Because if something's there, and that.
Oh, they'll work with you
that shouldn't really be there. They're there to help me protect not only me but the people I'm with.
Yeah.
Which I found that at Thackeray. My guides were there to help push that back to where it should be, even though it shouldn't be there at all. But it was pushed back enough not to affect everybody in the group.
Oh, they'll work with you. They'll still work with you. But it's on how. It's whether you're working at your full potential or not. You know, if they think you're not ready to work at your full potential, then they won't.
At the moment, no.
They won't put that much on you. So
at the moment, I'm not. I'm still in that solid transition.
I don't think you're fully in transition. I think you're coming out the transition, but
like I said just now, I think I'm standing in the middle of the roundabout watching you lot go around it.
Well, yeah, it could well be. It could well be. I think, like you say, there's a couple of things that you need to go through first before that happens.
Right, well, we're going to take a quick break for the paranormal
events
before we finish off tonight.
I have to let you know what's going on and where.
Yeah, so as I say,
we've got all the news right here. Don't go away.
No, don't go away. We won't be long. We'll be back in 2 seconds or 2 shakes of a lantern. Fed up of wading through the activities and events that other advertisers include? Find just what you're looking for at paranormaleventsforyou.com, your one-stop paranormal directory.
On the 25th of the 8th, Night Vision Paranormal are off to Harwich Redoubt Fort in Harwich. Also on the 25th of the 8th, Spirit Watch events are off to Sinai House, Burn-on-Trent. And there's plenty going on the 1st of the 9th. First we have Spiritual Paranormal, Wasp Paranormal are off to Harwich Redoubt Fort in Harwich. Also Dark Haunting Investigations are off to Fort Wildley in Portsmouth. And Ghost Hunt Paranormal Investigations with I Spy Ghosts are off to the Ancient Ramin in Stroud. And on the weekend of the 7th and the 9th, White Light Mind, Body and Spirit Show at the Roundhouse, Derby College in Derby. Also on the 7th, there's a Spirit Watch events with an overnight investigation plus a 2-course meal at the Bull in Thorn in Buxton. And now on the 8th and the 9th, there's a ghost hunt at Sinai House, Burn-on-Trent. And on the 15th and the 9th, Dark Hauntings Investigations are off to Cottismore House Retreat in the New Forest. Also on the 15th, Lost Soul Seekers UK. They're off to Clitheroe Castle Museum in Clitheroe. And for information on these events and many more, go to paranormaleventsforyou.com.
So check out the one-stop paranormal directory for more investigations and events available now. Paranormaleventsforyou.com also offers banner advertising for only £10 per year. See our website for more details. paranormaleventsforyou.com, your one-stop paranormal directory. Yeah, welcome back to the show. We're here with my husband Steve.
Hello.
And Neil Munnerley, our resident medium.
Hi guys.
And total pain in the rear end at times.
Is that me or
I asked Eric how we were doing,
is that me or the resident medium?
I asked them in the chat room how we were doing, and Eric said he thinks the show tonight has been one of the best ones.
Nice one.
Combination of all sorts, which we have had a combination of all sorts.
Down, isn't it? Yeah.
So
you wait till we get Tony Topping in.
Oh, don't.
Diversity.
Yes.
That one, Eric, you've got to come on to.
Oh, yeah. So, I was just about to say, actually,
Tony Topping tends to range from complete nutcase to genius.
Coming soon.
Depending on what he's talking about. It really does.
Yeah, coming soon, as we was about to say.
Coming soon.
That's what we will be doing coming soon. Next week, we have Mark Rosney in the hub.
Yes.
Live. He's bringing a friend with him as well. So he'll be co-hosting, and he's also bringing a colleague and friend with him. And Steve's just let the cat out of the bag.
It's on you put it up on Facebook.
I haven't put it up yet.
Oh, that's sorry. It's a conspiracy.
Yeah, but yeah, I suppose I could let the cat out of the bag. Tony Topping will be with us next week, live on Skype, and it should be good.
Yes, and we'll have the laptop back up here then, so it'll be better for you over that side.
Yeah, so if you want to have a look at his website, Tony does actually have quite a lot on his website, to be honest with you.
It covers a large area of stuff.
A specialist in UFO, Eric.
Everything from the shooting of Kennedy to Area 51.
And esoteric espionage. The guy actually, I've only been told this, that the guy has a feeling that he's been followed by Black Ops.
Yes.
He says, he can talk about UFOs, he can talk about Inception, the Gulf Breeze 6 Exception. He's got loads on it. Dream warfare, what's it called? Remote viewing. Hold on, it's just disappeared on me.
That's because you just started.
I just accidentally hit something. Remote viewing he can do. He's got the Mussolini and the Medema UFO crash. He's got loads on here. It's oh my god.
And from what we've been told, at one point he actually believed that his neighbours were firing microwaves at him.
Yeah, it says here there is actually the world of. It says it, Tony Topping, the man who accidentally wandered into the world of 007. Now there's something we can talk about, isn't there?
Yeah, so it's all spy and espionage.
It does. It's all spy and espionage.
Like I said, it can sound everything from being completely nuts to completely genius, depending on what you're talking about.
Two topics on here.
And your point of view.
One says, Who Really Wants the World, featuring Tony Topping for Channel 4 with an analysis. And why psychologists are more dangerous than conspiracy theories. There's loads of topics on there. Buxton Quarry, Staley Bridge, as stated, aliens among us. But yeah, so if you're available next week, why don't you join us, Eric? Could be quite interesting. And we've also got John Hall, who's from Liverpool University. And I haven't quite got my thing on here, so hold on, let me just double check on my I can look at it on here, can't I?
Of course you can.
See what my poster said that I did. I'll tell you exactly what it says.
What does it say about John Hall?
Where are we? Podcast shows.
So you will find it,
I will find it. Talk among yourself.
Oh, hello, Neil. How are you?
Hi, Steve. How's the weather been? Lovely.
It's been quite nice.
So what are you actually doing? What's your next step then, Neil?
Yeah, just a bit.
So what's your next step then, Neil? When are you coming back on the show?
Probably the week after next.
Cool.
I won't protrude in next week because I don't want to get involved in black ops, obviously, and start having helicopters following me home as well.
You are black ops,
this
isn't
is
it?
Well,
So
so he's dragging me into it now.
I know, I've noticed that. No.
Did you notice he didn't want to answer that one?
I'm not finding what I'm looking for.
That was a psychic pickup from me there.
I was 009.
009. Oh, like that, is it?
You had to be one higher than me, didn't you?
Oh dear.
But if you think about it, from what we do, from a psychic point of view,
yeah,
that's exactly what we are. We go into places and deal with spirit. Okay, 00 is probably a exaggeration because we're not killing them, but we're moving them from this plane onto a plane where they should be.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully that's what we're trying to do anyway.
Yeah.
We're not trying to harm any, but we're trying to put things right that for some reason have gone wrong. They've missed the light, and because they've missed it, they think that they can't find it again. And sometimes they need to just open their eyes and look. I mean, the amount of times that we've done this, and all we've basically said to spirit is look for the light. It's there if you want it. You just got to ask for it. And it's kind of, whoa, where'd that come from? And they're the good ones that just want to go in. Just want to go in. Others, you have to give a psychic kick up the pants.
Yeah, now and again.
Get in there.
Well, as I say, last week we had Chris Conway on, so if anyone wants to go and listen to the last week's show, it's now available to listen on the radio replay.
Yeah, that was a nice show, that was.
And after the weekend, because it'll probably be after then that I put it on, you can listen again to the big cat researcher, Jonathan McGowan, and Graham Palk, the chairman of, or I assume he's the chairman, the Aether Guard Neighbourhood Watch, talking about protection, cleansing and stuff.
He's the public view of it. He's the public face.
He is the public
basically
face.
From the Neighbourhood Watch side of it.
And we'll let you know what's going on next week.
And not forgetting our very own Mr. Neil Munnerley.
Yes, and we'll let you know what's happening next week. Next week we have the writer, investigator and star of the hit TV show Spook School, Mr. Mark Rosney, back with us live in the hub. He will return as co-host with his friend and colleague John Hall, who will be discussing his ongoing research in all things Fortean and paranormal. Plus on the line, as we said, we've got Tony Topping, a specialist in UFOs and esoteric espionage. So ignore that. That's not a good one. It's better over there.
I was looking at his picture. What he looked like.
And so hopefully you'll join us next week. And as I say, we've got some great guests coming up, and especially on the 12th of September.
Yes, we have. We've got some got some nice guests coming up.
So it might sound funny, but it sounds a lot like Highlander, but without the violence.
What's that mean?
You take your sword next time, Steve.
Can you just turn that thing round? You can see me weapons. Can you just turn that camera round and look on that wall?
Hold on. Here you go, Eric. I don't know if you can see this. I haven't got me... hold on, let me see whether you can see this. Here we go. Where's me Islander? He's up there somewhere. There you go, Eric. How's that?
Will that do? What will that do, Eric?
There you go.
All the way from Romania.
Oh, I don't know. So,
the only problem with that, though, Steve, is it can be only one.
Keep your John said. John just said, keep your weapon covered.
Keep your weapon covered. I don't know. But anyway,
be around Tuesday to pick up your shirt. Pick up the shirts, he said.
Well, okay then. We will be back by then, so it's not a problem.
Be good. Just give us a quick bell just to make sure we're here.
So you're going to be listening next week then, Eric, and hopefully you can ring up and ask some questions, etc. So
and John and Vicky will be.
How are you going to beat it next week? I've just told you who's on.
Next year.
Next year. How are you going to beat it next year? Beat what? Yeah, argue, LOL. Well, Anyway.
No, there's no problem there. We can always argue.
Oh, yeah. And laugh about it afterwards.
That's because it's usually a muck-up in the first place.
All right. He's on about how you're going to better the...
the sword.
When we go to Romania.
I might actually get the one that goes on your back.
Yeah.
It's got, you know, just like Harlan, it's got a thing that you wear under your coat. The big sword comes up.
Yeah, don't forget, if anyone wants to come to Romania, to Grand Castle, we do have a few places left as well. So have a look on our website at www.shadowseekers.co.uk. And please join us next week.
Every Wednesday night.
On the www.ktpf.co.uk.
This is where it's at.
Where we will hopefully be seeing you, and you can contact us and talk to our guests. And as we talked about everything paranormal, cryptozoological, conspiracy theories, and all UFOs, everything. So please join us. And until then, please keep the paranormal friendly, guys. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Night, everyone.